I was not the only one looking for insights from the sage Sunzi, also known as Sun Tzu, who died over 2,500 years ago. Art of War has long been mined for an understanding of China's strategic tradition and universal military truths. The book's maxims, such as, know the enemy and know yourself, are routinely quoted in military texts, as well as business and management books. Initially, I was disappointed. It seemed Sunzi's advice was either common sense or in agreement with Western military classics. However, a few years later the Marine Corps trained me as a China scholar, and I spent much of my career working on U.S. policy in the Indo-Pacific region. This deepened my desire to understand how leaders in the People's Republic of China see the world and choose strategies. Looking for insight, I turned to classical Chinese philosophy and finally encountered concepts that helped illuminate the unique perspective of Sunzi's Art of War. Today, I am an academic researching how Chinese philosophy and foreign policy intersect. To comprehend Art of War, it helps readers to approach the text from the worldview of its author. That means reading Sunzi's advice through the prism of classical Chinese metaphysics, which is deeply shaped by the philosophy of Taoism. China's intellectual tradition is rooted in the Warring States period from the 5th to 3rd century BCE, the era during which Sunzi is thought to have lived. Though a time of conflict, it was also a time of cultural and intellectual development that led to the rise of Taoism and Confucianism. Confucian philosophy focuses on maintaining proper social relationships as the key to moral behavior and social harmony. Taoism, on the other hand, is more concerned with metaphysics, trying to understand the workings of the natural world and drawing analogies about how humans should act. Taoism views existence as composed of constant cycles of change, in which power ebbs and flows. Meanwhile, the Tao, or the Way, directs all things in nature toward fulfilling their inherent potential, like water flowing downhill. The Chinese word for this concept of situational potential is shi, or shi, the name of Chapter 5 in Art of War. Almost every Western version translates it differently, but it is key to the military concepts Sunzi employs. For example, that chapter explains how those who are expert at war are not overly concerned with individual soldiers. Instead, effective leaders are able to determine the potential in the situation and put themselves in position to take advantage of it. This is why later chapters spend so much time discussing geography and deployment of forces, rather than fighting techniques. One does more to damage an opponent's potential by undermining their scheme than by merely killing their soldiers. Sunzi is concerned about long supply lines, because they lower an army's potential by making it harder to move and vulnerable to disruption. A general who understands potential can evaluate troops, terrain, and scheme, then arrange the battlefield to subdue the enemy without fighting. In Taoist thought, the correct way to manage each situation's potential is to act with wu wei, wuai, which literally translates as non-action. However, the key idea is to disturb the natural order as little as possible, taking the minimum action needed to allow the situation's potential to be fulfilled. The term does not appear in Art of War, but a contemporary reader of Sunzi's would have been familiar with the connection between nurturing shi and acting with wuai. In a Taoist understanding, leaders hoping to chart an effective strategy must read the situation, discover its potential, and position their armies or states in the best position to take advantage of shi. They act with wuai to nurture situations, rather than force, which could disturb the situation and cause chaos. In a Taoist understanding, leaders hoping to chart an effective strategy must read the situation, discover its potential, and position their armies or states in the best position to take advantage of shi. They act with wuai to nurture situations, rather than force, which could disturb the situation and cause chaos.